With the release of Season 2 Reloaded and Black Ops 6 and Warzone, it's important to go back and make sure we have the correct settings moving forward. Sometimes when these updates release, they mess things up, or maybe they just change your settings, so it's important to double check them. I also oftentimes get asked in my videos about my filters and how my colors are so bright in such a dull looking game. So in today's video, I'm going to be making sure you guys are up to date with the best graphic settings, controller settings, interface settings to get the brightest colors. And for my PC users, I'll show you guys a few in-depth things you can do to really boost your PC's performance. I'll also be discussing with you guys how you can get the filters that I use, so it's important that you stick around for the entire video. That being said, my name is Rehtycs, welcome to the channel, and let's dive straight into the settings. Before we move on with the video, I want to tell you guys about today's sponsor, Aniba. As gamers, we all want the best deals on our favorite games, and Aniba makes that easy. Whether you're looking for the latest releases or just classic favorites, you'll find huge discounts on over 40,000 digital products, from game keys and DLCs to gift cards and in-game currencies. Why pay full price when you can grab games like Black Ops 3 at a discount? Whether you're on PC, PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, or mobile, Aniba has you covered. Getting a great game at a great price is super simple. Just a few clicks and you're playing. Plus, with the secure payment options that they have and the 24/7 live support, you can game with confidence. And I know we all love Call of Duty, but with over 40,000 digital products, they'll have a great deal on just about anything you're looking for. So once again, thank you to Aniba for sponsoring this video, and make sure you hit the top link in the description to go check them out. This works for both multiplayer and Warzone, whether you play ranked, pubs, it doesn't matter. We'll start out with our controller settings. So I play on default button layout and default stick layout. Now button layout, I always play it on tactical, just like a lot of people do. So all tactical does is it swaps your circle or your B button with your right stick, and it makes it to where you can drop shot using your right stick. So I always played on that until I got a controller with paddles. So now that I have paddles that make it to where I can drop shot, I went back to default button layout because I found it easier to aim after slide canceling. That way I'm not pressing it in to try and slide and whatnot, and then trying to aim after that. Kind of messed it up. So going to default is ideal even if you're used to tactical, but it's personal preference. Same thing goes with stick sensitivity. However, now that they made it a bit different, you can really tweak it to your liking. So just go ahead and make sure you mess around with that a little bit. All of these are off. Now all of these are personal preference. However, you can turn on your swap your left trigger, right trigger with your right bumper and left bumper. The reason you will want to do this is because if you don't have a controller that has stops, you might be able to hear it on mine. It has a mouse click stop, so it kind of is instantaneous. So for example, on my PlayStation 4 controller, it takes a minute to get there because you have to press it all the way in. So if you want to swap it, it makes it to where you're immediately aiming and shooting with your bumpers. So if you want to switch that, a bit of a small tweak that sweaty players are gonna make, but if you have a controller that already has trigger stops, then you'll be fine. Controller vibration should always be off. The reason for that is because why would you want your controller shaking while you're trying to aim, especially if you're trying to rank up and you're losing gunfights? Turn vibration off. You can have it on for zombies and campaign, but if you want to have it on for multiplayer, just know it might kind of mess with your aim a little bit. Even if you don't realize it, your aim will probably improve by turning it off. And for your dead zone, you're gonna want to test this out yourself. However, this is what I go with because I have Hall effect sticks. I can turn my minimum stick input all the way down, and it basically makes it to where the lower the number is, the easier it is for this input to be registered in your game. So if you're having a lot of stick drift, you're going to want to turn these up until your controller isn't automatically moving itself. And as far as the maximum numbers, it just seems like everybody this year has decided to lower their left stick max down to like 70 or 80. I went down to 70. It's not really a big difference, but it's there. Moving on to the aiming tab for sensitivity multipliers. I don't have any of these affected because they're not really that important, like tablet sensitivity. I'm not sure I really care about that at all. But as far as my aiming advanced settings, we go into this. ADS sensitivity transition timing should be on instant. Third person ADS correction type doesn't really matter. And aim response curve type, I play on dynamic. You can play linear. This year, they kind of made it cut and dry. There's not much of a difference at all between the two. Dynamic has always been better in the past, despite a ton of people last year for some reason saying linear is better. It's not. This year it's really not, because it's the same thing, but in the past it was never better. So I stick with dynamic just because it's what I'm used to. The aim response curve slope, now this does have an effect on it, but there's really no reason to go super low with it, but you can tweak it if you want. I run it on 0.90 though. And then custom sensitivity per zoom, personal preference, but I have it on. And that's because when I have like a sniper with a higher zoom, I actually should have these all at 1. I like to have a bit quicker movement with it, and I like to be a bit snappier. Whereas when it's the first couple of zoom levels, like a red dot sight or just no sight on your gun at all, then you're going to be at 0.90, which is what I prefer because then I'm moving a little bit slower while I'm aiming, and it helps me track enemies easier. But with a sniper, I want to be snappier. I want to snap onto their head and get a headshot. If target aim assist and ADS aim assist both on, of course. Motion sensor behavior should be turned off. And if you want to be extra safe, you can go into your motion sensor advanced settings and hit off right here if it's not already on off. Probably unnecessary, but it's just to be a little bit safer, just in case you never know with COD. Not well optimized, a lot of issues with the game, so I like to be safe and turn things off. For sprint assist, tactical sprint assist should be turned on. There's no reason for you to be clicking in your controller all the time. I mean, it's just gonna break your controller. You're gonna get arthritis. Like, let's just be smart with it here. Turn it on. Sprint assist delay should be turned down to 0. Sprint assist sideways and backwards. Now you could turn those off if you want, but then you're gonna have to remember that. I personally like to have them on. Mantle assist, I have off. I don't want to be in the middle of a gunfight and try to jump shot someone and accidentally mantle something, and then I can't aim at them. It's happened too many times, so I keep mantle assist completely off. Crouch assist off. I have corner slice on. A lot of people like it on, a lot of people like it off. Again, personal preference, but to me, as it says here in this little note, as you can see on the screen, corner slice does not affect your aim. It really doesn't. All it does is kind of help you get a different kind of angle on things and see things a little bit clearer. So it takes some getting used to, and if you don't want to have it on, it's not a game breaker. I ended up learning having it on. I turned it off to start the year, but on seems to be the better option for me, at least. Slide dive behavior should be on hybrid. I mean, you want to be able to slide and dive effectively, and you also don't want to have any delay, so hybrid's the way to go. We're gonna have slide restore and slide maintain sprint both on. Parachute automatic behavior should be off. That way in Warzone you can kind of decide when you're gonna pull your chute. You don't want it to automatically pull it in a spot where you're gonna get fried out of the sky. Mantle cancels reload off. Movement advanced settings, you can copy these down. There's really nothing much to talk about here. I mean, you could turn off sprinting door bash if you want, I guess, but I don't see a reason. Auto door peek is kind of nice, so you just aim at the door and walk into it and it'll slowly creep the door open. But I personally like to decide if I'm opening a door. I don't want the game to decide things for me. Vehicle advanced settings, here you go. I'll just leave this here. There's nothing to really talk about here. Now moving on to combat, aim down sight behavior, hold, like all of these things are pretty much cut and dry. Like I said earlier, there's things in here that I will talk more about, but on here, not much. Like armor plate behavior, some people like apply all. I don't like when the game, like I said, decides things for me. I want to put on one plate at a time. And if someone's chasing me, I want to immediately stop plating. I don't want to have to cancel an animation because I've apply all on. So some people like apply all. I do think it's detrimental to your game. That's what you're used to. If that's what you're comfortable with, then go for it. Equipment behavior hold. Some people like manual fire behavior on hold, so that if you have like a semi-auto gun, you can hold your right trigger and it'll kind of be fully automatic in a sense, but it shoots way slower if you have it on hold, whereas if you have it on press, you can spam your trigger and it'll shoot faster. So keep it on press. Combat advanced settings, here you go. Again, not much to really talk about here. For your interact reload behavior, it should be on prioritize interact. You could do prioritize reload, but on interact, it makes it to where you're gonna hold to reload if you have like loot around you. It seems to be the best option because if there's a bunch of loot on someone you just killed and their teammates coming to kill you, you want to just hold your reload button. Make sure you're not accidentally picking anything up. When I've had it on prioritize reload in the past, I'll tap to reload and for some reason I'll still pick things up off the ground. So make sure you have on prioritize interact. Having this on toggle, I mean, again, personal preference. Overlay advanced settings, here's what I have if anybody wants to copy these down as well. That's it for the controller segment. Now we're going to move on to graphics, which are obviously very important because this game, as we talked about, is not well optimized. A lot of times things are going to go poorly. You're going to lose frames. It's going to be choppy. You're going to lose a gunfight because you're aiming in one spot and you try to track your opponent and it clips, and you get the point. You guys know, you play the game. Now you can play on full screen exclusive or full screen borderless. It really doesn't matter. It's just personal preference. The main thing you want to make sure is that your screen refresh rate is turned all the way up to the maximum it can be. And to do that, you have to put this on full screen exclusive and then go to this list and go to the very top. Full screen borderless for me is more ideal because I have multiple monitors and I like to use them while I'm playing. But if you don't have multiple monitors, then probably go with full screen exclusive. Aspect ratio should be on automatic. Now for gamma and brightness, you want to turn that up to around 55. You could keep it at 50. You could go lower if you want. It depends on your eyes. But for my whole life, I've always set it to 55 ever since, the last, 7-8 years. The video reflex low latency, make sure this is on. On plus boost apparently does kind of give you a little bit of a input delay, which is the last thing you want in a twitchy arcade first-person shooter game. Eco mode preset, I have mine to custom, and you can copy these down as well. VSync off, gameplay and menus. Custom frame rate limit, as I've talked about in the past, some people say that setting this to a certain number will help your computer survive longer. It really doesn't. I have mine on unlimited usually. I did put it on custom for now. But the reason in the past where I would have this on custom is when I had a worse PC. I got a newer PC now, so I can handle a lot of frames. But in the past, when my PC was struggling, I would go to custom and I would turn this down. So if I was usually pulling like 110, 120 frames, I would cap it at 115-ish. That way, my PC wasn't trying to do too much, and it kind of would help it stay more consistent at 115 rather than jumping up and down. Now, again, if you have a better PC, really no reason to worry about it. I'm honestly going to turn it to unlimited right now. Reduce menu render resolution native, pause game rendering. These things, again, just kind of copy these ones down. Not much to really talk about there. Going on to the quality tab, render resolution should be at whatever your PC is. So mine's a 1080. So as you can see, it says render resolution 1920 by 1080. If you're on 1440, you're going to want to move this up. until it says 1440. Make sure your render resolution matches your monitor. You don't want it to look all, as you can see in the picture right by my face cam, like it can look very, very bad if you have this wrong. So if your game is looking horrible, make sure your render resolution matches your monitor. Dynamic resolution should be turned off. Upscale and sharpening, everybody should be on Fidelity FX Cast. Good PC, bad PC, anything. The only reason you wouldn't use this is if you're having issues with it. And you can then try, in the past I've ran NVIDIA DLSS, I tried image scaling, I've tried FSR. Fidelity FX Cast is the way to go, but if it's not working well for you, then switch it. But before you switch it, make sure you mess with this a little bit. I'd say 85 is a good sweet spot. You can go down to 70. If your PC's struggling, you can go up to 90 if it's not. I think 85 is a good sweet spot. Frame generation, absolutely turn that off. Again, input delay will happen. Scale target, I have mine at 85. Again, if your PC's struggling, maybe turn this down a little bit. If it's not struggling, maybe turn it up a little bit. 85 seems to be a sweet spot. Variable rate shading should be off. This is where it depends, again, on your system and what trade-offs you want to take. I don't care about how good the map looks texture-wise. It really doesn't affect me whatsoever. I just want to kill people. I want to go 85 and 2. Like, I don't care about how pretty the map is. So that's really up to you, because for me, my PC could handle it on high, but my frames would tank quite a bit. So I'm going to stick with low because I'm getting really good frames, I'm having smoother gunfights, and the map it's not like it looks horrible, it just doesn't look quite as good. So most of these should be on low for that reason. Depth of field should be off, detail quality low, just kind of everything should be turned down. Keep bullet effects on if you want. It doesn't affect your frames at all, despite what some people may say. Persistent effects off, shader quality low. On-demand texture streaming should be on minimal 99% of the time. Okay, just make sure you have this on minimal. A lot of people don't put it on minimal and put local texture streaming quality to low as well. Shadow quality very low. This tab right here will absolutely destroy your game's performance if you have all this on and turned up to, you know, ultra shadow quality. Nobody needs that. It's barely a difference. And it's absolutely going to cause hitching in most systems unless you have a top of the line system. So be careful with these. I know it looks pretty. Don't overthink it. Tessellation should also be off. Volumetric quality low, off. You guys get the point with this. Most things should be low or off. Moving on to the view tab. Field of view, I play 115. The reason for that is because even though 120 gives you a wider field of view, you can see more. Through some testing that we've seen done in the past and that I've done myself, 115, the aim assist still feels a bit stickier. Again, maybe it's a placebo effect, but to me, 115 is the right way to go. I actually used to play on 112 when I was like an ultra sweat and all I played was COD all day, every day. But now I have it on 115. So I would say try 112 to 115. Can try 120, but again, the aim assist seems to be a little bit worse. So just be cautious of that. ADS field of view, make sure this is on affected. Make sure this weapon field of view is on wide because you don't want your gun to take up a big part of your screen. Vehicle field of view, again, wide. You need motion blurs both turned off. All it's going to do is affect the way you see things. If you want to be good, if you want to play well, you need these things off. Same with the camera movement. It should be on least. You don't need a shaky screen. I think that's it for the graphics tab. Now moving on to audio, I do have the art tune, as you guys may be familiar with. I don't use it anymore. I'm not saying it's bad to use it. Personally, I've decided to just play the game normally, kind of like everybody else does. But if you're ultra sweat, if you're wagering in Warzone and all this good stuff, maybe try Art Tune out. He'll be in the description. We're going to talk about him here in a minute. So if you want a tutorial on how to get Art's Tune, you guys will be able to hear about that here in just a moment. For me, audio mix, it seems like everyone kind of agrees Sucker Punch is the way to go. Not a big difference between all of these. There's a few that are kind of bad. Sucker Punch is definitely the way to go in most people's minds, so I kind of just went with that, and it sounds okay. I mean, the audio sucks in the game. There's no way around it. Sucker Punch is just like slightly improving a horrible audio system. So Sucker Punch, but don't expect it to be amazing. And then you can copy these down as well, but I mean, they're just, everything's kind of turned off. I have licensed music turned off. You can have it on. I may stream at times, so I have it turned off just to reduce any chance of potential copyright issues. Reduce tinnitus sound, turn this on. Turn your hit marker preset to classic. I don't know when they turn it back to default. Turn it to classic. Everybody knows classic, old school hit marker sound effects are the best ones. Moving on to the voice chat side of things, I do want to say, turn your voice chat volume down. I have voice chat turned off. There's too many people in there just yelling awful things that should not be said, especially when someone's streaming. So I have it turned off, but as you can see, I only had it set to 24. It means there's people in there and you have proximity chat on just yelling while you're trying to hear footsteps. Not really a good idea to have that turned up super high. Moving on to interface, because a lot of people ask me how I get the colors that I get. Here we go. Copy these settings down. Here's the telemetry settings that I have. I just have the FPS counter, server latency, and packet loss on, so I know if I'm lagging or if I'm in a bad lobby. And then I want to know what kind of frames my PC's pulling. Change the label size if you want. As you can see in the top left, look at the FPS number up there. This is large. This is default. I stick with default. Keep these icons on. They help you know if you're lagging or struggling in a game as well. Readability, that's all personal preference. At the bottom of it is color customization. Here are my colors. A lot of people ask about them. I want, instead of my enemy being red, I want them to be bright pink because it just stands out for me. They're not going to be able to blend in anywhere when they're bright pink. So you can see what color I have selected there. Neutral, I have it on white, so I know that nobody's on a flag. Some people wonder how in Warzone you can get your name to be black. This is how. Go to U and select black, or change it to green, or whatever you want to do. But that's how you go to your color customizations. Now at the bottom, you want to make sure your color filter is on filter 2. Your color filter target should be both. I had it on interface for some reason. I think my settings got messed up, but that's why we do these videos, because sometimes these updates will mess your settings up. So both world color intensity, I have a 75. You can turn this up if you want. I think 75 is a good spot to have it. And interface color intensity, I've turned all the way up. But you could definitely, if you're, I use filters, which we're going to talk about, but if you don't and you want to turn your color intensity up, by all means go for it. And then gameplay HUD, you can copy these. The main things I'll say is make sure your minimap shape is square, because you see more on your minimap than with round. And minimap rotation should be on. It's easier to figure out what's going on the minimap when the rotation is on. Radar, you can have it on or off. I just don't like it, but a lot of people do like having it on. And in-game text chat, you know, things like this, not much to talk about with them. For your crosshair, you can change your crosshair a lot. I personally haven't changed it. I'm not too worried about my crosshair. It's just a crosshair. But some people do care about that stuff, so that's how you change that. Hit marker visual should be on. Damage-based hit marker is good to have too, so you know if you got a kill or got a headshot and things like that. And then I keep all these on 100. Again, these are changeable, but you might want to look up a certain video to see what the best widget visibility is for your personal preference. And moving on to the extra things you can do, like filters and editing some strings of text that will give you a little bit more frames. So this section of the video is for the people who are really looking to optimize their game's performance. Everything we've already done is enough to play, especially if you're on console. But if you're on PC, head to your File Explorer, head to your Documents tab. Let me full screen it even. Head to the Documents tab, click on this one right here, this Call of Duty folder. Go ahead and open up the folders player inside of it and scroll down to options for COD 23. Everybody's kind of, or not everybody obviously, but a lot of people have already done this. But let me show you guys things that you could do in here that slightly affect and slightly improve your game according to smarter people than me. One of the things that you're going to want to do first is press Control F, and that brings up this search bar. You can search for whatever you want. We have a few things in specific. As you can see, the first one is heaps, H-E-A-P-S. Hit enter on it and you'll find this spot right here where you're going to want to change GPU upload heaps to false. It'll say true most likely on your system. You want to change that to false. Next, we're going to search up renderer. Hit enter and it'll bring you to your render worker count. Mine's set to 7 because I have a 16-core processor. The way to figure out what number you need is find out how many cores your processor has, which you could do by searching it, Googling it, if you don't already know. You want to have the number of processors and then subtract 1. So since I have 16, half of that is 8, minus 1 equals 7. So you put it to 7. This has been going on for a couple of years now, so a lot of you guys might have already done this. But it's definitely worth checking to make sure it's correct. Next, we're going to type in reflection. And you're going to want to go down to reflection probe relighting and change that to 1 instead of 4. If yours is already on 1, then great. No reason to do anything aside from 1 on that. And then last but not least, type in blood and then go to blood effects. Make sure this says false. Yours will probably say true if you haven't changed this, so change it to false. And then most important thing is you go to file and then you go to save. I already have it saved, so I'm not going to save it just in case I messed something up just now. And just in case I accidentally typed like a Q in one of these while I was scrolling. Now, people always ask about how bright my colors are on my game. Very vibrant. Like I said, I use filters. I've talked about this in the past. It's the DWM LUT GUI program. I'm going to use the footage from my last tutorial on it here to show you guys how to download and use it. The link is in the description, but I'm just going to put that segment in this video because right now mine isn't working, so I'm going to have to re-download it and kind of get everything situated. I'm just going to use last video's footage. It's the same thing. As you see, my game is just very vibrant compared to what it is default. The reason that my game looks so much more vibrant than most other people's games do is because of this program right here. It's called DWM LUT GUI. Look, you don't have to worry about it. It's in the description. I'll also link the video that is the main tutorial for how to get this from Artist War. He's also the one who created these filters, so we have to give credit where it's due. His video is pretty long about it, and while it's all information that is needed, he does go well into detail. I'm going to try and make it a little bit simpler for you guys on how to use this. But once you download it, you should get a file that looks like this right here. Says release. You know, if you're good with computers, then you know how to extract something. Extract it to your desktop. If not, bring this from your downloads folder to your desktop to make it easier, and then just right click it, click extract all, hit extract. I already have it, so I don't need it, but this is what the folder will look like once it's extracted to your desktop. It'll be in its own folder called release, which I already have up here, so you double click that, and this is the program. So what I do is I open it up. I'm going to right click it down here on my taskbar and I'm going to hit into taskbar to make sure it's always there. So now I always can open up this program right like that. You're gonna want to head to the link in the description. In Art's video, you're gonna download his filters or find filters somewhere else, but his are probably the best for Call of Duty because they're made for Call of Duty. Once you download his filters, you bring them out to your desktop again just to make it easy. And these are the options, and you're gonna want to test each one of them and find which one you like. Me personally, I always use Super Sat Shadow Seer. The reason for that is because I feel like it brings the colors out the most without making them look a little too bright. Emerald does a little bit of a green hue. Ruby does a red one. Neutral Shadow Seer is good as well, but Super Set makes it a bit brighter. I could see people in the shadows a little bit easier. If you don't want any added colors, then you could do shadow only just so that things are a little bit brighter. What you do is you go into DWM LUT, you click on your gaming monitor, make sure it's your gaming monitor. You can do it on both monitors, but if you want it on the gaming one, make sure it's on the gaming one. You click on it and you go to browse where it's SDR LUT. You don't want to do HDR. You want to do SDR. You hit browse. You pull up the release folder, and it will always pull this folder up by default as long as you're using it. Click on whichever one you want, hit open, and there it is. And now you just press apply. You can't see it in the recording unless I add it here. Let me add it. So this is what I'm seeing now that I hit apply. It looks like that, and it just looks so good. I mean, turning it off and on. This looks more like a Saturday morning cartoon. This looks like a nice bowl of cereal in the morning watching Yu-Gi-Oh. Now, I don't keep the filter on when I'm scrolling the web and things like that because it's not meant for that. But for Call of Duty, it's amazing. And again, you just hit browse if you want to try the next one, and it's that easy. But what these don't do is affect your FPS whatsoever, let alone negatively. What they are is convenient. They're always, you can even use them in like a movie or a video that you're watching if you don't like the way they look. I use them on stream. Multiple uses for this as well, so it's not like it's an annoying thing that you have on your desktop that I need it for my game, but it takes up some extra space. It's something that you actually can use. All right, now we're at our NVIDIA control panel. I'm not going to be like everyone else and milk the time on this one and go through all these settings because I'm not smart enough to know what's going on. But copy these settings. Just pause the video as you need to. You know, copy these down. That's really all it is with these because these are kind of universal. Pretty much everybody is going to want to use these. Now, let's move on to our change resolution, which is actually something you might want to do. Now, a lot of people may not know this, but your refresh rate right here, you need to set it most times when you get a new PC or a new monitor, because my monitor goes up to 240 hertz, but I had it on 120 hertz because default out the box, that's what it is, and I just didn't notice. Put it up to 240 and everything's smoother. I hope I get at least one comment if you change that. So if you came to this screen and it said 80 hertz or something and you were able to put it up to 240 or even 120, I had a monitor that was like 144 hertz, and for a year straight I played on 60 hertz not knowing. Now that I've played on 240 hertz, I would know the difference right away. And also I have two monitors, so make sure you click on each one to make sure you pull up the refresh rate. One of mine only goes up to 120. This one goes up to 240. This is my gaming monitor. Make sure you're on the right monitor. Now, adjust desktop color settings on the left side panel. At least put your digital vibrance up. Whether you're going to use filters or not, your digital vibrance will get a major boost, a major benefit by going from 50 to 65. Once you pass that, it goes from being a major boost to my favorite word, overkill. It's just too much. It's unnecessary. Gamma 1.06 is a very good number to be at. Brightness you could put up, but I put that up in Call of Duty. I don't need my actual monitor to be brighter, just my gameplay, so that was good. And then contrast, again, you can put it up, you can put it down. You know, 65 I'd say would be a solid number to get to. But that'll do it for today's settings video. Hopefully the Season 2 Reloaded update actually kind of helps fix the big issues that Warzone and Black Ops 6 has been plagued with so far. Me personally, I've barely played the game over the last 3.5 months. I've always been a diehard Call of Duty player. Anytime people say COD is dying, I'm always the guy that's still on it playing, and this year that hasn't been the case. I've been really enjoying Marvel Rivals, or just not playing video games at all. But if they could fix Call of Duty, I would gladly be back to playing. With that being said, we do still have some content planned here moving forward. So if you guys want to subscribe and stick around, I appreciate it. We are still on the road to 100,000 subscribers. If you made it this far in the video, let me know down below by typing the word BANG, just B-A-N-G, in your comment or in a new comment. That just lets me know who made it this far in the video. It's a pretty long video, so I doubt very many people made it this far. So I appreciate you if you did. Drop a like, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys soon. I've been Rehtycs. Peace.